On the planet Virex-9, there was one rule every species followed without question. Never go below level 0. Below level 0 was not a place of work. It was not a prison in the normal sense. It was a warning carved into metal and fear. That was where the dragon lived. The Galactic Council never called it a dragon. They used words like asset, power source, and containment entity. But everyone, soldiers, engineers, cleaners, even politicians, knew the truth. It was alive. It was ancient. And it was chained. The city above glowed with endless light. Towers floated on anti-gravity fields. Energy flowed freely, powering millions of lives. No one asked where that power truly came from, except a human girl named Michelle. Michelle was 16 years old, thin, quiet, and officially classified as non-essential personnel. Humans were not warriors like the Crate, not engineers like the Volari, not rulers like the Council species. Humans were workers. They cleaned. They cooked. They followed orders. Michelle worked in the lower kitchens, preparing nutrient meals for security teams stationed near level 0. Every day, she saw warning signs on the walls. Do not stop. Do not listen. Do not look down. But one evening, as she carried a container of hot soup through a maintenance corridor, she heard something. It was not loud. It was not violent. It was slow. A deep, rhythmic sound like breathing but strained, as if each breath hurt. Michelle stopped walking. Her heart began to race. Every instinct told her to turn back, to pretend she heard nothing, to survive. But Michelle had grown up on Earth, where she learned something the galaxy never understood. Silence does not mean nothing is wrong. She took one careful step forward. The corridor sloped downward. Lights flickered. The air grew warmer, heavy with energy and something else, old, ancient, tired. Then she reached the edge of the observation platform. And she saw it. The dragon. It was larger than any ship she had ever seen. Its body coiled endlessly, scales dark and cracked, glowing faintly from deep within. Massive wings were pinned to the ground by chains thicker than buildings, made of compressed energy and alien metal. Spikes and siphons pierced its body, draining light from its chest, feeding the city above. Its head rested on the floor. Its eyes were closed. For a moment, Michelle thought it was dead. Then one golden eye slowly opened. The platform shook. Michelle's breath caught in her throat. Fear locked her body in place. She expected fire. A roar. Death. None came. The dragon only looked at her. Not with anger. With awareness. With something dangerously close to curiosity. Michelle noticed something then that no report ever mentioned. The dragon was not raging. It was weak. Its breathing was shallow. Its scales dull. The light in its chest flickered like a dying star. She felt a strange ache in her chest. She remembered her grandmother back on Earth, lying in bed, sick but proud, refusing help until it was too late. They don't stop hurting just because they are strong, her grandmother once said. Michelle swallowed. The soup container in her hands was warm. Simple vegetable broth. Nothing special. She took a step forward. Warning sirens did not sound. Sensors did not react. The dragon did not move. Her hands shook as she knelt near the edge of the containment field, and placed the bowl on the floor. I don't know why you're here, she whispered, her voice barely carrying in the vast chamber. But you shouldn't be hungry. She pushed the bowl forward. Then she stepped back. The dragon lowered its head slowly, chains creaking under the movement. Its massive nostrils flared as it smelled the air. Warmth. Something unfamiliar. Food not forced. Energy not stolen. It opened its mouth, and gently drank. No fire. No destruction. Just quiet. Michelle's eyes filled with tears she didn't understand. She stayed until the bowl was empty. Then she ran. That night, the dragon slept deeper than it had in decades. And deep within its ancient mind, a memory awakened, of small hands offering warmth under dying stars. The next day, Michelle could not focus on her work. Her mind replayed the golden eye, the calm, the silence that felt respectful. At the end of her shift, she packed another bowl of soup, then another. She told herself it was stupid, dangerous, illegal. She went anyway. The dragon was awake when she arrived. This time both eyes opened. Michelle stopped a safe distance away and held the bowl with both hands. "I'm Michelle," she said softly. "I don't think anyone ever told you their name." She placed the soup down. The dragon drank again. Something changed in the chamber. The chains glowed, not brighter but softer. The harsh energy hum lowered in pitch, like a scream becoming a whisper. Michelle sat on the cold metal floor. "I'll come back tomorrow," she said, unsure why she believed it mattered. As she turned to leave, she felt it. Not a voice. Not a sound. A presence. Watching her go. Above them, the city continued to shine, powered by chains, ignorance, and fear. But below level 0, something impossible had begun. A human girl had chosen kindness. And the universe had noticed. Michelle did not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the dragon's golden gaze, steady, ancient, and painfully calm. It did not feel like being watched by a monster. It felt like being seen. When morning came, Outpost Virex-9 moved as it always did. Ships launched. Sirens echoed. Energy levels stayed stable. No one noticed that something beneath their feet had changed. Except the dragon. When Michelle returned that evening with another bowl of soup, the chamber felt different. The air vibrated softly, not with pain, but with awareness. The chains still held the dragon's body, but their glow had dimmed slightly, like tired stars losing their cruelty. Michelle stepped onto the observation platform. The dragon's head lifted before she reached the edge. It knew she was coming. Her heart pounded, but she did not turn back. She placed the soup down carefully, the steam rising like a peace offering. "I didn't know if you'd still be here," she said, feeling foolish. They move things sometimes." The dragon did not drink right away. Instead, its eyes focused on her. The pressure in the air changed. Michelle gasped as something brushed her mind. Not violently, not forcefully, but gently, like a question waiting for permission. She froze. Then she nodded. And the dragon spoke. Not in sound. In meaning. "Small one. Warmbringer." Michelle's knees weakened, and she sat down hard on the metal floor. You can hear me?" "I can feel you," the dragon replied. "Your kind is loud in a way the stars are not." Michelle laughed weakly through her fear. "We talk too much." A slow, deep warmth filled her chest. "Why do you bring food to what your masters call a weapon?" Michelle looked at the chains digging into living flesh. At the siphons draining light from something that was clearly alive. "Because weapons don't feel tired," she said. "You do." The dragon was silent for a long moment. Then it drank. As it did, memories spilled into Michelle's mind, unasked, unstoppable. She saw stars being born. She saw dragons flying through nebulae, not destroying, but guarding, holding back cosmic storms, shielding young worlds from extinction, standing between life and oblivion. Then she saw betrayal. The Galactic Council had feared what they could not control. So they lied. They called the dragons destroyers. They hunted them. They chained them. This dragon had fought to protect a system that later imprisoned it. Michelle cried openly now. "They never told us," she whispered. "They feared what truth would cost them," the dragon answered. "Power tastes better when stolen." Michelle clenched her fists. "Then why am I allowed here? Why don't the chains stop me?" The dragon shifted slightly, and the chamber trembled. "Because the chains were not made for you." Michelle looked up sharply. "They were built on 3 things," the dragon continued. "Fear. Obedience. Belief." The dragon's golden eyes locked onto hers. "You fear me less than your rules. You obey your heart more than your masters. And you believe I am alive." Michelle's breath caught. The soup bowl emptied itself without her noticing. Around them, the chains pulsed again. But this time, thin lines of liquid light ran along their surface, as if the metal itself were sweating. Michelle stood slowly. "What happens if they find out?" she asked. The dragon's gaze softened. "Then the galaxy will remember what humans are." That night, something went wrong above level 0. Energy readings spiked unpredictably. Engineers argued. Sensors reported strange fluctuations near the containment chamber, but no alarms triggered. Because the system was not failing. It was changing. Michelle returned every night. Sometimes she talked. Sometimes she sat in silence. Sometimes she cried about things she never told anyone else. The dragon listened. The chains continued to weaken, not snapping, not breaking, but losing purpose. Michelle noticed something terrifying. The siphons hurt the dragon more when she was present. "They're pulling harder," she said one night. "They sense loss of control," the dragon replied. "Your kindness disrupts their design." Michelle's hands trembled. "Then I should stop coming." The dragon lowered its head until its massive eye was level with her. "Do not confuse danger with wrongness." That night, guards entered the lower levels. Michelle heard their boots echoing through the corridors as she stood frozen beside the containment field. Spotlights cut through the chamber. "Step away from the entity," a voice shouted. Michelle did not move. The dragon did not attack. Instead, the chains reacted violently, glowing white, heating beyond tolerance. Not because the dragon pulled, because the system panicked. A warning siren finally screamed. Containment instability detected. Michelle turned to the dragon, tears streaking her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." The dragon's voice filled her mind like a sunrise. "You did not hurt me. You reminded me." The chains began to melt. Not snap. Not explode. They softened, dripping light onto the floor like molten gold. The guard stumbled back in terror. "What did you do?" one screamed. Michelle stood straight. She did not answer, because she finally understood the truth. The most dangerous thing in the universe was not a chained dragon. It was a human who refused to believe that cruelty was normal. And somewhere beyond the chamber, the galaxy leaned closer, about to witness what happens when kindness becomes resistance. The alarms did not stop. They grew louder, sharper, desperate, screaming through every level of Outpost Virex-9. Red lights flooded corridors. Doors sealed. Council ships detached from their docks, weapons charging as panic replaced control. Below level 0, the containment chamber shook like a dying world. The chains did not snap. They lost meaning. Molten light dripped from them, pooling on the metal floor. Gravity locks flickered, unsure whether they still existed. The siphon screamed as energy surged back into the dragon's chest, not violently but rightfully. Michelle stood in the center of it all. She should have been vaporized, crushed, reduced to ash by forces meant to restrain gods. Instead, nothing touched her. The dragon rose slowly, carefully, like a mountain standing up after centuries of sleep. Its wings unfolded, no longer pinned by hatred made solid. The chamber's ceiling cracked as ancient power returned, not as rage but as balance. Council soldiers fired. Plasma bolts vanished against invisible shields. Gravity weapons bent and collapsed, folding in on themselves like paper. The dragon did not roar. It spoke. Not to the soldiers. Not to the council. To the stars. For eons we guarded life. When fear replaced trust, we were chained. Today, a human reminded the universe what courage looks like. Every system listening heard it. Across comm channels, translation AIs stuttered, unable to soften the words. The dragon lowered its head toward Michelle. She was shaking now, fear finally catching up with her. But she did not step back. "What happens now?" she whispered. The dragon's golden eyes reflected her small human form. Now humanity is seen. Above them, the council made its final mistake. They ordered planetary suppression. Orbiting cannons charged, aiming not at the dragon, but at the city itself. If they could not control the power, they would erase the evidence. The dragon sensed it instantly, and moved. With a single motion, it spread its wings over Outpost Virex-9. A barrier formed, not hard, not violent, but absolute. Energy cannons fired. The shots dissolved into harmless light. The city lived. The council's authority did not. Across the galaxy, species watched in silence as feeds spread. Of a dragon protecting the very people who had enslaved it. And of a human girl standing unafraid beneath a god. Michelle felt something change inside her. She was no longer small. Not because she was powerful, but because she had chosen. The dragon rose higher, coiling its body through the broken ceiling and into open sky. Council ships retreated, their weapons useless. "We leave," the dragon declared. But the lions today, with a burst of controlled light, It severed the siphon network. Not violently but precisely. Energy rerouted. Systems stabilized. Outpost Virex-9 did not fall. It was freed. Before departing, the dragon returned one last time, lowering itself until Michelle could touch its scales, now warm, alive, glowing. "You fed me when I was forgotten," it said. "What shall I give you in return?" Michelle thought of weapons. Power. Revenge. She shook her head. "Promise me you'll protect worlds again," she said. "Not as a weapon. As a choice." The dragon bowed. Humanity remembers what the universe forgets. Then it flew. Stars bent around its passing. Ancient beings across the galaxy stirred, listening, watching, wondering. The council collapsed within days. Hearings followed. Trials. Confessions. The truth spilled out. Dragons were never destroyers. They were guardians. And humans? Humans were no longer classified as non-essential. They became something far more unsettling. Uncontrollable. Because they could not be ruled by fear. Years later, historians would argue about the moment everything changed. Some said it was the melting of the chains. Others said it was the dragon's return to the stars. Humanity knew better. It began with soup. With a girl named Michelle who walked where no human should, and chose kindness over obedience. And across the galaxy, ancient powers learned a terrifying lesson. You can enslave a god. You can weaponize a monster. But you should never underestimate a human who believes that care is not weakness. Because when humans choose to care, even chains made for gods fail.